Yeah, I love the sport, and I've always had a lot of self-belief in my ability, and I always believed that I could be like a really good player. So like the first year when I kind of did it properly in 2003, when I came to Cambridge, where Joe Perry had recently moved to the club that myself, Steve Misford, and Joel Younger, um, we all played there, and Joe moved his table there. That was massive. That I wouldn't have progressed as quickly as what I did without
Right.
that, because Joe in practice was definitely one of the best players in the world, like without a doubt.
Mm.
And we would get so frustrated watching him play. He'd play Steven or he played Ronnie on TV and just like, just like almost go to pieces. It was like
Yeah.
we're watching this guy not miss a ball and just play almost perfect snooker in practice, and then play against Steven or Ronnie and not
Yeah.
produce. It was really strange to watch. But so in practice, that's what I had to compare myself to the guys when I went to qualifiers. So none of the guys in the qualifiers could do what Joe was doing to me. So I already knew that I was going to get more chances. And I'd been conditioned by practicing with Joe that if he makes a mistake or if I get a chance
You got
to
to take
make
it.
the most of it, because
Yeah.
Joe would be too good tactically for me, and I wouldn't get a second chance in a frame. So he really helped me really turbo through the ranks, really. I mean, like that when I turned pro in 2003, I got to the top 16 within 3 seasons. That's insane.
Yeah.
And back then as well, the tiered system where we had to qualify through all those rounds as well. Um, so in that season, I had success. I won the Masters qualifier where I lost to Jimmy. Steven said in an interview, actually, here we go.
Yeah.
So I was due to play Jimmy in the wild card match, and then the winner of that was to play Steven. And I remember reading an interview Steven did, and Steven was
Oh
asked,
no.
"Oh, you played the winner of Jimmy White and Neil Robertson, the young Australian player." And Steven was like, "Yeah, yeah, of course, with Jimmy and all that." And he goes, "But Neil Robertson, I wouldn't even know what he looked like if I walked past him."
Stephen's got some
And
form
I
on this
was like,
podcast of not knowing about people.
and I was like, "Oh, that's my hero," and he's just said that about me.
No. Imagine if you could have been told what the way it would play out. That's really funny.
Yeah.
Um, it's only like this last 12, 18 months, Neil, you've talked about like the mental toll it takes to be so far away from Australia. And is this period of your career, has it been the first time that it's really caught up with you, like how much you've had to sacrifice of your personal life?
Um. Well, I think like being a few years from not seeing a lot of my family since
Yeah.
COVID, but I mean that's not an excuse for my season. Um. So last, hang on, what is it? Because I've been reading his book.
Have you got
It
your
was really
stats in front of you?
that was recommended to me. I've read my stats. My stats for frames per 50 plus breaks, frames per centuries is really high. It's as
Right.
high as it's been in my best.
See, I don't think I could ever look at that when I was playing.
Oh, I love it though, but I love American sports like basketball and all that. So I love all
Right.
the stats. But it's actually a really good tool because you think, am I scoring as heavily as what I was, or am I doing this as well? And it actually
Yeah.
sort of
Yeah.
shows it up really well, because if your average frames against is a lot higher, that means that your safety play or something hasn't been very good. You've been giving up too many chances. If your frames for is really high and the breaks are good, it's like, okay, so the issue here is my chance creation. I'm not getting in as much as what I normally do through sometimes your opponents miss and they leave you plumb in, or am I
Mm.
actually creating opportunities?
It's interesting.
Um,
Some players really look at this stuff in a lot of detail, and some players like Stephen, I don't reckon
Yeah,
would ever
I
have bothered with any of
no,
this, right?
I couldn't have done
I
that.
find
No,
it fascinating. I really
Yeah, me
enjoy
too.
that part.
yeah,
Anyway, so there's this line in this book. It says, some athletes know when they're done, and that's it. But when that burnout hits a guy who isn't done, it's extremely hard for him to find his way back to where he was. Maybe he won a title, took it easy during the off season, returned the next year feeling a little content and satisfied. Usually only one thing can bring him back: the competitive spirit, the idea that someone else is about to take what's his, the realization that while he was content to getting fat and lazy, everyone
who are we
else
talking
was
about
still
here?
Feels a bit personal, Neil.
no, everyone else was still lean and hungry. Then he has to get busy playing catch up, or he won't be the champ for long. Me. 2 years
Right.
ago, I had that unbelievable season where it was, and we didn't have the China events, right? So I won 4 massive titles.
Yeah.
The Tour Champ, Max at the Worlds, all that, and then basically took 5 months off, and that's the worst thing you can do. I kind of over enjoyed how great a season I had, and then when everyone else is working hard on that, and then so in that first half of that season, I actually still carried on the form. Like I was still playing really well, but I completely butchered a few semi-finals where I had 3 centuries in a row against Ronnie to go 4-1 up in Hong Kong in front of 9,000 people. I'm thinking, oh, how good's this? Like I barely even practiced this off season. I'm still playing so well. Look at me. And I lost the match. Things got a bit tight in the match, and so I lost a few semi-finals where if I was playing them that previous season where I was doing well, I would have put away the tournaments for sure. But when you get content and when you get satisfied, and that's what that's what happened to me. And so for that season, like I tried, but and the thing is that this season I've tried to play catch up, and you can't just flick a switch, and you're not going to just, because 2 years ago, when I was playing really well, winning tournaments, people make so many more mistakes against you. It's incredible what happens. And that's where I go back to where I said that Ronnie was playing awful earlier on in tournaments, because people making so many mistakes, they don't capitalize. And when you're playing really well, when you're flying, winning tournaments, it's just what happens. Players just make mistakes against you. They're so worried about making a mistake and leaving you in. Like, it's incredible. It's almost like they can't win a close frame. You just think, they can't. Then they're gonna twitch frame ball. They're gonna twitch match ball, because they know got that belief that it's going to happen. Whereas this season, absolutely not happened. People have played really well. I haven't played my best stuff, but I've worked really hard on the practice table, and I've tried to put things right. But it's only when sort of like reading this book, I was like, I'm still like, what the hell is going on? I'm practicing so hard. Usually when I practice so hard, it just means that I start winning things again. But it's like, now that I've actually realized what's happened and what I have to do, I have to practice even harder. I have to make that up. And some other parts as well, like sort of speaking with Joe about my game. He's analyzing my game a lot more than what he would do kind of like as a friend. That's been really good as well. So we've put some things right in China Open, the World Open a couple of weeks ago. I played brilliant. I think I had 9-10 centuries in the event, and playing really well. So my game's back in great shape now. So, which is the main thing, but it's taken a long time to, I thought I could just get it back within 2 months, but it's taken, 18 months. And, but now I know, and I've put things in place. That can never happen again. I may go spells without winning events, of course, but
you don't feel like you'll lose that mental edge.
And so, but what, talking with Joe as well, is that he says that I'm really up for the fight again now, whereas probably earlier in the season maybe I wasn't, sort of subconsciously. And I think that's where I needed that Australian trip to kind of reset mentally. Okay, let's really attack this. Look, you have to accept that you're probably going to have to qualify for the Worlds. So just accept that, and then kind of almost like start again, so to speak, right?
Yeah.